Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of your OGR, as today is game 29 as the Edmonton Oilers went up against the Seattle Kraken and walked away with a big 5-3 victory. As this was a victory, I would have to say this was a team victory, as we were short-manned. Marody and Seth Griffith was called up. Cuckoo is put back in the lineup. There was a lot of people on COVID protocol lists like Puljujärvi, Nuge, Duncan Keith, Ryan McLeod. I mean, who cares about Keith? But we had a lot of big forwards out of the lineup, and I gotta say, this was one of the best games I've seen from our depth in a while. We got a lot of good depth scoring. Skeevier looked amazing. Cooper Marody and Seth Griffith, with the short amount of time that they did have, produced a pretty good amount of offense and were amazing throughout the entire night every time they stepped out on the ice. Warren Foegele had a huge night up on the top line alongside of Connor McDavid. Just a lot of good stuff to talk about with this game against the Kraken. But before we get into that, I'd like to just say, if you are new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. So let's get into reviewing the Edmonton Oilers game. And we'll start off with, of course, the goal scoring that happened. The first goal that happened was Ryan Donato, who scored his 8th goal of the season. It was a pretty nice goal. It was actually a really beautiful snipe. He picked the perfect spot to shoot it at, kind of hit the kind of edge of Skinner's blocker and just tipped right into the back of the net. Now, the first 2 goals for Stuart Skinner, and that was our starting goalie of this game, and Stuart Skinner had, his first 2 goals that he let in were kind of rough. They weren't goals that, he should have let in. Actually, the first one was probably the worst, because this was one where I thought he should have had, and it shouldn't have went into the back of the net. But, after that rough goal, Stuart Skinner played huge. He made some really good saves on Jared McCann a few times. He kind of just kept us in this game generally. And yeah, he let in 3 goals. He only faced 17 shots throughout the entire night. But those chances were pretty high quality chances that he did let in, especially on the Susie goal, which we'll be talking about a little bit later on. But overall, Skinner had a strong night, not a terrible night for Stuart Skinner, as he played great against the Blue Jackets and once again stepping up big time for us, playing very well in that second and third period. And even at the end of the first period, he played really well as well. Moving on, Jared McCann got his 12th goal of the season. I think this was where he was left wide open. And the 2 goals that did happen was CC and Legason were the guys who were playing out there the most on these 2 goals against Donato and McCann. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of this defensive pairing between CC and Legason. Reason why is because they're both the exact same defenseman. It's like putting Nurse and Barry alongside of each other, which we did again. It makes no sense to me why we continue to put similar defense alongside of each other. Nurse and Barry, great puck moving. They had actually a good night offensively. They weren't terrible. But for Barry, he made, some kind of mistakes on his power play, which we'll get into later on. But CC and Legason are both defensive defensemen. I'm not a big fan of that. They played fantastic defensively, just they weren't able to get the puck out of their own zone, and that's why I wasn't a tremendous fan of that defensive pairing, and they also allowed 2 goals against on us. I'm not blaming them on the first goal. It was a great rush in by Geeky and Donato, who ended up scoring a big goal, so I'm definitely not blaming them on that one. But they left Jared McCann open because they both decided to go after the exact same player behind the net, which just made no sense to me. Moving on to the next goal, though, Evan Bouchard, who should be getting number 1 power play time. My God, this guy has a Howard service shot and never misses compared to Barry. But Bouchard scored his 5th goal of the season with a nice setup pass by Marody. He took an absolute bomb from the point and then went right into the back of the net. And Marody gets his first ever NHL point in his career, his first NHL assist. And this is why I was a really big fan of Marody and why we should be playing him over Shore and Turris. Shore and Turris were never able to do stuff like this or even produce offense. And we're right off the get-go seeing even just 6 minutes from Marody, he was producing offense every time he went out there. Not just that, he was playing very well defensively as well. That's the amazing part of these guys. We should have been playing Marody a long time ago. This is an NHL-ready guy, and for some reason, we just have not been playing him. It's absolutely mind-boggling the reason why he's still been down in the AHL and not up on the main roster. And then Warren Foegele gets his 4th goal of the season. Now, this goal was an absolute masterclass by Kailer Yamamoto. Well, first of all, Tyson Barrie fucked up on the power play, and this is the reason why I've been praising that Bouchard should be playing top power play minutes. Honestly, the guy's on pace for 51 points this year, and he's not on the top power play unit, nor playing very much time on the power play. He's overall played, I think, about 17 minutes so far on the power play. Well, Nurse has, tripled that, and Barrie, he's our top power play guy. He's played over 200 minutes on the power play. I don't know if it's 200 minutes yet this year, but he's pretty high up there on the power play. And Bouchard's barely playing any. And it makes no sense to me with how talented Evan Bouchard is and how he could read the play on why he's not on the power play. Because Barrie turned it over and gave it right to Brandon Tanev, who dashed on a breakaway. And Kailer Yamamoto, my God, did he ever back check. He disrupted the play of Brandon Tanev, made a great turnover, and it skated his ass back with a beautiful 1-2 from Draisaitl over to Yamamoto, which gave up a big rebound to Warren Foegele to get his 4th goal of the season. We're actually seeing some great offense from Warren Foegele, especially getting stepped up on the power play. And I've been loving Foegele these past few games. The big old FoegDaddy. He's been looking amazing out there. He was producing a lot of offense, and especially in this game, I thought he played really strong. He was producing a lot, playing really good alongside of McDavid. And not even just that on the power play. He was just being an absolute presence in front of the net. And he was just playing overall a very strong game. And also one thing I want to talk about. What was Jeremy Lauzon thinking? And, this is such a hot topic with these garbage-ass refs this year, man. And I know we've been talking about it every year, but it's across the entire league they've been terrible this year, without a doubt. Especially with the play where Jeremy Lauzon got nailed from behind, or Scurvio, oh my God, why am I messing up his name? Come on, Scurvio, I'm going to say it wrong, whatever. Skeevier. There we go. Found it. Woo! We found it, boys. Skeevier got nailed from behind from Jeremy Lauzon, right in the numbers, and he didn't get kicked out. No 5-minute misconduct, nothing. But McDavid, he gets that. He does a little bit of a bump, and it's a 5-minute misconduct. Why aren't these refs consistent right now? And it just ended up making the game entirely physical, and there was actually... It wasn't too dirty. Like, it could have been worse, and that's what I want to praise for refs, is that these games could get really dirty, especially with a hit like that. These games can get really dirty, and it was on the side of getting really dirty, especially in the first period. We were seeing a lot of nastiness between both of the teams, and I mean, you can look at the Oilers, they were hitting every man that they could see out there throughout the entire game. I thought they played a very physical outing against the Seattle Kraken and doubled the amount of hits that the Kraken had. It was amazing. Scurvio scored a big goal right after, well, not right after, but in the second period against Jeremy Lauzon, and Jeremy Lauzon and Scurvio just pointed and laughed at him because Jeremy Lauzon got bumped by McDavid. He's like, the fuck, man? He just nailed McDavid in the back, and Scurvio's like, yeah, we scored a goal against you, buddy. Get a big old L, buddy. Oh, man, I love that. That was just some rock star shit right there. He scores a goal and it looks at Lauzon and is like, hey, look at the scoreboard, buddy. We're up 3-2, man. And then, of course, Seattle does come back with Soucy getting his 4th goal of the season, which, of course, Barrie and Nurse were out there for this one, and they were just like a standing pylon, like the blind mice, for fuck's sakes, looking around there. They couldn't do anything. And then Soucy scored his 4th goal of the season, which was a nice shot from the point. Nothing Skinner could do. It was a big juicy rebound. I think it actually wasn't even a rebound. I think it went right off the post, and it just ran into Soucy's hands, and he just threw that one right in the back of the net. And then Foegele get his 5th goal of the season, and I don't know what Mark Giordano was thinking in the situation, because he pushed Warren Foegele right into the goalie, which of course tipped the puck into the back of the net. But what was the old fucker doing, man? He's just like, oh shit, the puck's in the air. And he just nails Warren Foegele into his own goalie. You just don't do that as a defenseman. That's the dumbest thing to do as a defenseman, is to nail another player into your goalie. You just don't do that. It's dumb. You try to keep the player away from your goalie. If the puck's going to go in the back of the net, don't nail the guy in your goalie. That's just not a good idea. And Mark Giordano should know this. Like, it was a dumb play by him, which ended up being a goal. They waved it off at first, and I was like, how are they waving this off? Because this should be a goal. And then they did allow it after a coach's challenge because they're like, yeah, it's a no goal. And then, like, Gullinson's like, the fuck, man? You pushed him in the goalie, bro. And, of course, it was a goal. They reviewed it. Thank God. Warren Foegele, like I've been saying, he was a beast tonight, getting his second goal of the night. And then Connor McDavid finishing it all off with the empty netter to get the Edmonton Oilers a huge victory. 2 in a row now, which is a good bounce back from that 5-game losing streak. But I definitely want to bounce back with a 5-game winning streak, for crying out loud. So hopefully we see a good game on Monday. But overall, let's talk about the lines. So first up, the top line, McDavid, Foegele, Kassian. I was a little skeptical on the line, but Kassian didn't have a bad night alongside of McDavid and Foegele. I thought McDavid and Foegele, without a doubt, were the two of the best players throughout the night on that top line. The second line was, I really wasn't a big fan with Perlini being up on that line with Yamamoto. Perlini was an amazing. Yamamoto played pretty good, even though he didn't, generate a lot of goals or expected goals for. He didn't produce very much, but he did have some really good plays out there, playing very well defensively. He did generate some good offensive opportunities, especially on the power play. He was all over the place. He just wasn't able to get that puck luck, which I think is the biggest thing. He's not lucky right now, Kailer Yamamoto. He's generating a little bit, especially in these past few games. He's just not getting that luck and not getting that offense, and I hope sooner or later he does, because there's a lot of Oilers fans that have been kind of riding on him a little bit, and he's not producing to the fullest extent that we know Yamamoto can produce, and I think he'll bounce back here sooner or later. He just needs to find that game once again that he used to play. Moving on, third line, I think it was, what was it again? Let me find it. Benson, Ryan, and Skeevier. I love that line. Skeevier was absolutely amazing, especially with Ryan and Benson. I thought Benson had an amazing night, generating a lot of hits, generating a lot of opportunities. I thought he was amazing throughout the night, and I thought even he could play up alongside of Draisaitl and Yamamoto, and I thought that line would have been a lot better. And then Marody and Griffith were also amazing throughout the entire night. Like I was saying, Marody had a really strong night. He's a really strong skater. He has a good shot. He knows what he's doing offensively out there. He's a good passer. I think he's an NHL player. He looked like an NHL player in that 6 minutes that I've seen from him, and I hope to see him play more on Monday, and I hope to see him get some more minutes, because he was looking amazing out there and was generating some really good chances out there. So I was really, really happy to see that. Defensively, Nurse and Barry, I don't know what they were thinking with putting Nurse and Barry back together when Cuckoo came into the lineup to put Cuckoo alongside of Bouchard and then Legason with Ceci. I don't mind Cuckoo and Bouchard, but I don't know. What I would have done, and what I've always been praising, is do Ceci up alongside of Nurse, because I think that could potentially be a good defensive pairing. And then do Cuckoo and Barry, and then, Legason and Barry, and Cuckoo and Bouchard. I wouldn't mind that defensive pairing. Cuckoo and Bouchard were pretty strong throughout the night. Bouchard scored a goal, and he was pretty strong defensively. Legason was really strong throughout the night alongside SCC. I was actually quite surprised of how well they played defensively. They didn't play too great offensively, I think was, definitely not their strong suit. They're not able to break it out as well because they're two defensive defensemen playing alongside of each other. But they did a fairly good job playing defense and, allowing the forwards just to take it out of the zone instead of them trying to, which I thought they didn't do too bad throughout the night. Nurse and Barry are just pylons defensively. And yeah, like I was saying, Bouchard and Cuckoo had a pretty strong night. Skinner wasn't too bad. He definitely could have had a better start to the game, but he definitely did bounce back. And same with the others. They had a rough start of the game, but then we bounced back and played great throughout the second and third period, and even at the end of the first period, we played great. So, amazing game for the Edmonton Oilers. This is the Edmonton Oilers I've been waiting for over the past little bit, and so I'm happy to see them ending off December in kind of a good way. So, hopefully, we can continue having a good streak right now, guys. But for now, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Tell me, guys, in the comment section below how you guys thought of the game, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.